Have you heard of cryptocurrency?
No.
Have you heard of Bitcoin?
Yes.
How many Bitcoin do you have?
None. What are they back of? Like just trust or?
We're on our way to a crypto meetup at a bar in San Francisco, and testing the new microphone. I started talking to our driver.
American money is backed by the American central bank.
There's no bank, there's no federal government, there's no backing.
It's all good.
It's the blockchain.
Oh, okay. I understand it, yeah. I tried to read about the blockchain.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it, I was like, I used to work in a bank, and for me, money has to be backed by somebody promise.
It's a good point that money be backed by somebody's promise. The question lingered as we walked into the event organized by Jackson Palmer, the creator of Dogecoin. I talked to a broad spectrum of crypto enthusiasts, asking what's their favorite uses of the blockchain and how do they make sense of it all. If I was looking for solid ground, I'm not sure I found it.
Coloring Crypto.
Here we are at this event. It's Decentralized Drinks on Friday nights in San Francisco. It's my first time coming here. It's Thanksgiving 2017. Summarize this moment in the cryptocurrency space.
Yeah, right now there's a lot of excitement. This is very similar to the dot-com boom, where you really didn't have to be very smart or have a really good business idea. You could just launch a business and become a millionaire overnight. That's exactly where we are right now with Bitcoin. Bitcoin could be the AOL of the future, and Ethereum could be the next Yahoo.
What is your favorite use case of the blockchain?
Private property?
I think right now, store value.
Store value.
Remittance is the easiest thing to think of.
Reducing the costs associated with legal expenses.
Replace lawyers, the prenup.
Server costs.
Brings the power back to the people.
You can really get into the weeds, but the further you get into the weeds, the more you get into people trying to speculate and stuff, and that's generally kind of a waste of time.
So this is my first time here and been doing this podcast, and I'm finding that it's super exciting, super interesting, highly overwhelming.
Oh yeah, this sounds like blockchain, that there's no cohesion in the answers that you're getting about what the best use cases are.
So what do I do with this?
Is your goal to find cohesion within blockchain?
I'm trying to help my listeners understand what is the blockchain, what is it, how is it applicable to our lives, how will it affect us?
That's a hard question.
I would say you would want people to understand what it does, like what it is, and then people would have their own answers for how it might be applicable to their lives. Like all these things are very experientially dependent, so that's why you have so many different answers coming in.
What if I was to say it's 1995 and I'm saying you should learn HTML?
I would hope a lot of people do learn the equivalent of HTML today.
I would argue they may not need to know what the blockchain is or how the blockchain works. Do you understand how the internet works completely? So my name is Michael Hunt, and I work with community over at Facebook currently. I think that we need to wait and see what some of the best use cases for the blockchain will be to really give them an answer for that. If you think about some of the early days of the internet, we didn't see some of the best use cases until, a couple of years into the development of these different companies. But to pinpoint any one thing or any one specific value use case is going to be hard. It's going to be the difference of having the internet in its first versions and not knowing that social might be the biggest use case. Because the industry is so new and a lot of research is being done now to build up this industry, there's a lot of time for people to get in who don't come from backgrounds that have been conducive to setting them up for success in other industries.
For anyone who's in college looking for a job or high school looking for a job, I would jump on board into the blockchain wave. My name is Munjal Shah. I'm with the Decentralized News Network. There's so many private blockchain millionaires out there. I think most of the percentage of Bitcoin owners are in the top 1%. So we could actually also be creating a new class of rich people.
Isn't it mostly like white guys, developers that own most of the cryptocurrency?
Yeah, it is. It is mostly white guys who own most of the cryptocurrencies, and they're forming their own super rich now. The early adopters of cryptocurrencies are generally engineers or friends of engineers who, from what I know best, tend to be more logical thinkers and not necessarily super capitalist. So what I really enjoy is the early adopters of Ethereum and Bitcoin are the people who are the millionaires now, and they're the ones that are able to invest in the next wave of ICOs so they can actually mold the planet.
I'm expecting blockchain to solve really amazing problems like citizenship.
Citizenship.
That's a ledger. Private property should all be on blockchain. It's Evgenia Barkanova. So I'm expecting blockchain to solve problems of that level. But as of today, I'm very excited about applications in commodities.
Commodities.
Commodities. Okay. So there is a company in Great Britain that impressed me a lot with how they applied blockchain to diamond trading. Diamond trading is a very complex process, and what they do, they certify the diamonds and follow them on blockchain from the moment they were mined to the moment they are used by whatever Cartier in a piece of jewelry.
I thought De Boers had monopolized and faked the whole value of diamonds.
De Beers controls a lot of the market, and De Beers is one of their clients. Because of all the bad reputation that diamonds start getting in modern world, because of all the blood diamonds. And so blockchain allows to clean the diamonds. With this particular startup, they have technology to mark each diamond and to exactly know which diamond and to follow through all history of this particular stone on blockchain.
I'm so excited to hear this example. And now you're saying that the blockchain could be applied to the supply chain of mining diamonds and clean it out.
You can put on blockchain the whole supply process, supply chain, from mining diamonds to selling them in a piece of jewelry to the end user. And the end user can be confident that this particular diamond has great history and was not a blood diamond.
Okay, as you clearly have some ideas about this, how do you separate the signal from the noise?
Blockchain should add value. It shouldn't be just a replication. Tokens should not be used just like US dollars. Tokens should be creating incentives. And how do you separate the signal from the noise? You do not want to deal with projects that do not come up with intelligent token economics, because this is what blockchain runs on. It's incentive models, and the reason Bitcoin is so powerful, like Satoshi Nakamoto came up with a strong model that allows to incentivize people who work on the open source project. And so each blockchain project is supposed to create a very strong incentive model.
It's Terrence Yang, and I can be reached on Quora, where I write a lot, or at Yang Ventures on Twitter, where because it's Twitter, when in Rome, I am not always the nicest and the most respectful tweeter, but on Quora, I'm very nice and respectful. So depending on your personality, find me in one of those two places.
What's your favorite use case of the blockchain?
Right now, it would be avoiding asset seizure. If you're in Venezuela experiencing 800% inflation a year, the government is basically constructively taking away your life savings, your hard-earned money. Right now in Venezuela, it's very hard to get US dollars, so Bitcoin is a great alternative. I think that's a killer app right now. Or Kazakhstan, which unbeknownst to most people has had 2 currency devaluations in the last 2 years. If you live in many, many countries around the world that are not like the US or any of the other countries that many of us crypto people are from, those people are suffering at the hands of governments that are incompetent, corrupt, or just favoring the status quo and the powers that be, which are not ordinary middle-class people in these countries.
How do you separate the signal from the noise?
Oh, wow, great question. So I look at how you can create something that meets unmet needs. Unless you're meeting unmet needs, you're not solving a real problem. So you want to be the best solution by far for the problem that you're solving.
Can you think of an alternative coin, an ICO, that is meeting needs that Ethereum and Bitcoin are not already?
Absolutely. So full disclosure, I'm getting free coins from QuantStamp, but I like them a lot, and the reason I chose to work on it is because Richard Ma and company at QuantStamp are solving the problem of automated security audits and providing automated bug bounties for smart contracts to prevent another DAO, to prevent another parity attack.
My name is Alexander Uglov. I'm a co-founder of Russian Blockchain Association, launching my own TV show about blockchain.
How can this change our lives?
Actually, blockchain is not only about technology. It's open our individual energies. You know what I mean? And it's...
I don't know what you mean. Explain opening my individual energies.
Decentralized technology, decentralized philosophy makes you be more independent in the network, polycentric structure.
Do you mean like that the concept applied to human interaction? Elaborate.
The human being based on ego. This is the part of our nature, and we can't how the individuals makes transaction.
Can you give me an example? How does blockchain apply to that?
Blockchain can give us basic needs.
How do you separate the signal from the noise?
I feel myself. I trust myself. You know what I mean? I try to connect the truth from my heart.
I see you looking in my eyes. We're having eye contact. I see that.
Yes. The first of all, and the fact-checking. Of course, fact-checking.
Hi guys, my name is Sarah. So I'm currently working on a project. It's called Expertee. So it's like an expert with a Y at the end, Expertee. So basically, we're a peer-to-peer decentralized network, and it's a voice and video calling app. So you can reach people, you can call people and connect with them. But on top of that, you can actually get paid for that call. So think about being a consultant, like Uber for knowledge sharing.
Yeah, my name is Jehan Tremback. I'm working with Althea Mesh.
What's your favorite use case of the blockchain?
I like Gollum.
What's Gollum?
Gollum is a way for people to buy GPU computing services. So right now it's used for rendering 3D files, but in the future it'll be used for machine learning as well. Like people who may have run mining farms and have a lot of GPUs sitting around to sell the services of those GPUs.
And what are you working on?
I'm working on a thing that lets routers pay each other for bandwidth. So it's if you've heard of mesh networks, it lets people set up mesh networks in their local area to provide sort of last mile internet access. Each piece of equipment can basically collect its own money in the form of cryptocurrency. So you can have a decentralized network of people who are just working together, and they don't need some kind of top-down company and ISP to collect the money. Their equipment collects the money as they participate in the network. And then also being able to verify what nodes are, what they're advertising as their routing metric. So it's trustless, so you don't have to trust your neighbor's going to be completely honest about the packet loss and latency with which they can reach a given destination on the internet.
How do you separate the signal from the noise? Meaning, how do you tell what's bullshit and what's real in this whole crypto blockchain space?
I'm not really out to separate the signal from the noise. There's like a lot of bullshit. I'm not here, to try to find the next big thing to invest in. I just pay attention to things that are interesting.
How would you say this could impact our lives?
So let's say, my project, Althea, how it's going to impact your mom or your grandma or whoever is they're going to have an option for cheaper, better internet access. And they don't need to be sold on the concept of cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are going to affect people's lives if they're effective. And if they're not effective and they're useless, then it's going to be people remember, that was that thing that people were into in the 2010s.
For example, let's say, do you think most Americans in 10, 20 years that will be impacted by the blockchain will even have to understand the blockchain?
No, absolutely not. Most people don't understand the banking system, and they use it every day. Most people don't understand operating systems, and they use them every day.
But I remember 96, 97, 98, people were scared to put their credit cards into the internet to buy something, and now most people don't care about that. Will it be a similar kind of like transition?
Yeah, I think people will become used to putting their money into crypto tokens. I wouldn't be surprised if credit cards stay around. It's going to be made into a form that's very easily digestible, but the main difference is that a lot of things are going to become much more efficient because the credit card companies can charge 3% on our entire economic activity because they also run a payment network. But if they just become a company that sort of manages your private keys, it's going to be far easier to compete with them, and they're only going to be able to get maybe 0.5% or less. And so I think people will find that things are a bit cheaper and a bit more efficient, and there's a bit more competition.
The percent payment, do you think that'll be about 0.5%?
I don't know what kind of fees you'll be looking at, but I could see, let's say if everything works out the way we want it to, you're going to save 3% on your beer. You know, the bar, when getting from the distributor, they're going to save like about 3% as well. And you're going to add up to, 10, 15% that's been made more efficient and has also been taken away from people who run centralized networks. People who are just very rich people now. The average person is going to see 10 to 15% cheaper prices on the things they want. Efficiency and competition adding up throughout the supply chain.
If the U.S. government just suddenly clamped down, decided we are stopping cryptocurrencies of all kinds, could they do that?
I think they could certainly crash the price of Bitcoin and Ether pretty hard.
How would they do that?
Well, I think if they said, if we find you using Ether, you're going to go in jail. I think that would hit the price pretty hard. I don't think the U.S. government has the legal ability to do that because of the Constitution and stuff. I think right now they have a wait-and-see attitude. In the long run, I don't think they can really stop it, but they could certainly slow it down by 10 years or.
My name's Dan Rice. My company is called Bootstrap Legal, bootstraplegal.com, or you can find me on Twitter, the Dr. Bits.
What's your favorite use case of the blockchain?
Like if you look at Bitcoin, for example, there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. So over time, we know how many will exist, and there won't be an infinite increase in the number of Bitcoins that are out there. The inflation rate is currently like 1%, so it's very low, and it's going to get lower over time.
And for you, as you're getting engaged in this space, understanding it, like how do you separate the signal from the noise?
Well, advantage for me, and I think a lot of the early people in the space is I'm a computer engineer, so I usually read the white papers and I get to know what they're really doing and decide if I really believe in the tech behind it.
How soon will an algorithm be released that is 10 times faster and 10 times more efficient than Bitcoin or Ethereum?
How soon will an algorithm be released that's 10 times faster? There's always trade-offs. So I'm not really there are things that are faster, but you're trading off centralization or something else. I'm not really sure there's going to be a purely better. It's more about understanding how a cryptocurrency relates to the way people interact in humanity and finding one that's going to work better in that way and work with the way people normally interact in the world. So I think that's what will make one of them better, not just technologically being better.
And what are you most curious about in this space?
Well, it's a grand experiment. None of us know where it's going to go. I think one of the greatest moments of cryptocurrency was the moment that Bitcoin went from being worth 0 to being worth 1 penny. And now we're just seeing, is that going to continue to be true? Because a lot of economists said you can't bootstrap a currency without force or some other mechanism, something backing it. And what we're finding is that's not really true. At least it hasn't been for 10 years.
I'm going home. Michael, we're at Decentralized Fridays, put together by Jackson, maker of Dogecoin. I've had a great night. I'm still looking for the end of my podcasts. Give me the end here, Michael.
All right. I think you have a lot more podcasts to go because this is just the beginning. I think another 2-3 years. I think by 2020, we're going to see some really cool things happening in the blockchain space. So if you're listening to it now or you're paying attention to it now, you're in early.
All right, there it is, Coloring Crypto. We'll see you in 2020, and we'll see you next week.
Coloring Crypto is now a weekly podcast, releasing new episodes every Sunday for newbies who are curious and experts who think they understand. Tweet us at Coloring Crypto and leave us a review on iTunes.
Coloring Crypto. Subscribe now.